A warm welcome to one and all present here. On behalf of the DG Vaishnav family, myself Balaji welcome you all for this great day on Fintech. Accounting is the day-to-day life. Each and every one of us having accounting concepts in our daily life. This fintech is also one of the software which is usable in all the days of our day-to-day life, in all your mobile phones, in banking, and all the applications. Let me have a great day of fintech with our great speakers for this day. Now, I request Sri D. Prem Kumar, Assistant Professor, DG Vaishnav College, Department of Corporate Secretariship, to provide the welcome address. Over to you, sir.
To all, with due respect, Secretary Sir Ashok Kumar Mundras ji, and respected Principal, on behalf of the Department of Corporate Secretaryship, day and evening, I am a very immense pleasure in welcoming our distinguished Chief Guest, Mr. Ganesh Swaminathan, and in welcoming to our ability enhancement series. This one is a fourth series of such, and with a specific topic, scope for students in career development in finance area. Now, this is being one of the foremost important topics to the student, which is very much required to them, right, in a present scenario, right, and I'm very much happier in welcoming the chief guest, teachers, students, and all. Thank you. Over to Balaji sir.
Thank you, sir, for your great speech. Now I request Dr. Alamelo Satyabama, Assistant Professor, Department of Corporate Secretaryship, Evening College, to provide the introduction of the speaker. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Good evening to one and all present here. On behalf of Corporate Secretaryship Department and Dynasec Association, I am profoundly delighted to take an opportunity to introduce our chief guest for the international webinar, Mr. M.N. Ganesh Swaminathan, who is currently the head customer value manager at MTN Group. A dream does not become reality through magic. It takes sweat, determination, and hard work. This quote would well match with our chief guest as he contributed different role and his expertise in various telecommunication sectors. To mention some of his path and his career paths, he started his career in the year 2002 as executive customer care at DSS Mobile Communication and revenue stimulation head in Bharti Airtel Limited. He also served as a branch head in 197 Communication, CLM head marketing in Uninor, senior marketing consultant and senior manager marketing excellence in Flytext, DGM and lead CLBM multi-channel U&R at national headquarters Geo. Currently, he is also a chief mentor in Marketing Arthasastra, which focuses on upskilling the youth and build them to become the 21x Chinese marketeers with 360-degree approach to professional, personal, and financial wisdom. Above all, I feel proud to record that he is alumnus of DG Vaishnav College. Now over to chief guest. Ganesh.
Yeah, thanks for the invite, and I am profoundly delighted. And of course, it's honorable to mention that I am making a speech here at DG Vaishnav College. So let us now first, I thank one and all for inviting me and giving me this opportunity to share and upskill people here in DGB. So let me now proceed to the course directly. Thank you so much. Yeah. So hope you are all able to see my screen now.
Sir, kindly share the screen.
Yeah, just a minute. Yeah, you are able to see my screen now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So let me just now look at the course topic. The first one is FinTech, the future of accounting. So when we speak about FinTech, everyone starts thinking that it is some kind of strange technology or it is something unheard of, but you are using it already on your day-to-day life. The mobile wallet, the Google Pay, Paytm, and multiple other banking services that you do is based on FinTech. So the presentation here, what we are going to take you through is first, what is fintech? You will get a basic understanding of fintech. And second, why fintech? That is why we need to use fintech. Like understand overall perspective on the use cases on how fintech solutions impact or influence the realms of finance. The third is applications of fintech. First, we understand what is fintech. Second, why we need to use fintech. And then third, where are we going to use fintech? And then fourth, once you continue till the end, I'm going to tell you what are the hot job opportunities that are there with fintech learning. So let's go to the second slide. Before we proceed, okay, let me just put something for you to think through. What do you feel or think fintech is? So fintech is nothing but first, we will now look at what is the first application that comes to mind. First is mobile wallets. Many of you would be using Google Pay, Paytm, and multiple other models. These are based on fintech. That is, they use simple technology to help improve the way you transact rather than paying cash at the retailer or rather than pay cash at the shopping malls. You will be using your mobile wallets where your bank will have a specific application which will help you make the transaction. The second application that we can see here is internet banking. Now, years back, let us say close to around 15, 20 years back, you will not be able to transact with more than one bank. For example, if your home branch is, let us say, Anna Nagar, you will not be able to go to a different bank and transact, but rather you can only go to Anna Nagar. But with fintech, we have gotten this internet banking and core banking, wherein you can transact and make payments or receive payments anywhere. The third is how it helps in stock trading. Earlier, we need to catch hold of a broker, pay him, and he will take his own time to come back and give you his stocks. But whereas now, everything can be done online and thanks to the fintech technologies. The fourth is how it helps on fraud tracking. For example, if there are anomalies detected and there are a lot of transactions happening, we can always track back why this is happening and who is initiating these transactions and have a control on fraud. And the fifth is how this has helped move us to core banking. For example, when you send an outstation check, it takes 15 days or 20 days to clear because it has to go through multiple states and get it cleared. But whereas with core banking, again, thanks to fintech, now we have got instant banking facilities through the fintech technologies. Now, robo advisory is nothing but automation of multiple models and methods. For example, you can now track what is the usage parameters and how the customer is using, and basis which we can suggest offers to the customer. And second is we can track the trends and pattern that is happening in the market and suggest which stock or which shares can be bought. Hope it's clear. The second is now what we are going to see is what is fintech. Fintech stands for financial technology. To ensure we have a standard understanding of the definitions, I'm going to take it from Wikipedia. Fintech is financial technology where we use technology and innovation that aims to compete with traditional financial methods. Traditional financial methods means having ledger, making individual transactions, copying it on Excel, etc. But rather, instead of using those traditional methods, we will be depending on the software which automates everything and has a track of everything. And fintech is an emerging industry that uses technology to improve activities in finance. And now, what are the examples that we can say? Using softwares exclusively designed for initiating, managing, and fulfilling a financial transaction. For example, let us say you go to a bank and want to deposit money. In the olden days, you will have to go to the bank, fill up a deposit slip, provide the cash, and then make the transaction. But whereas with fintech, we can do it peer to peer, or we can even do it directly through bank transfer. And utilizing advanced statistical pattern modeling, that is simple. For example, let us say a customer has usage for the last 6 months, and then all of a sudden on the 7th month he is initiating a new or a different transaction. We can always find it automatic without having to do a manual effort. The second part, why fintech? Ask me for an example. For example, first, when we use fintech technology, we can automate and serve millions of customers using advanced and automated software built on financial principles. For example, let us say India has more than 1 billion population. Now, let us say around even 10 million of these people start transacting at a particular time. If it has to be done manual, it can never happen. But with software, we can serve millions of them easily in real time. Real time means doing it in instant. Second is automate manual activities rather than using paperwork. For example, let us say you want to withdraw cash from bank. You will have to go to the bank, write a check, deposit, and then get the money back, or you will have to send request on money orders, etc. All those are now eliminated with fintech. For example, if you want to send money to your grandmother who is there in a village, you can directly do it through Google Pay or Paytm or even a bank transfer. And second, robo advisors can automate all historic data. Robo advisors is nothing but automatic queries that run. For example, let us say there are like around 10-12 months of usage data or bank data that is present with the organization. We cannot be checking all those 10-12 months data manually and finding who has done what, but rather once we automate and load this into the fintech software, it will automatically calculate everything and provide the update. And third, perform transactions in real time and in instant. By having access to real-time data, banking, wallets, and stock market transactions can become easy. For example, let us say you want to buy a stock and you do not know the real price of it as of the last minute. But with fintech, it has automated everything. So you will know the stock price minute by minute. That's an example. And then third, what are the key applications of fintech? So first is mutual funds analysis and advisory in terms of investment. So it has made it completely easy. And online purchase, claims and settlements. For example, let us say you want to buy something from Amazon. Okay. So if you are having a bank account, Amazon can easily check and debit what is the balance that is available in your bank account and complete the transaction. Whereas without fintech, it is not going to be possible. Next, insurance. If you take around 15-16 years back, if you have to make a claim to insurance, then you will have to do a lot of paperwork and then follow up. You have to be at the mercy of your agent, and then he follows up, and it takes 2 to 3 months for him to process and give you the claim. But whereas with fintech, it becomes easy, and you can just directly log into the internet and the service provider site, directly put in your claim, and then the claim gets processed instantly. The next is stock technical indicators analysis. So if you look at the stock market, there are multiple ways of doing. One is investments, where you buy a stock directly. Second is trading, where you just find the trend of a stock and basis which you just gamble. So that is what is called futures and options. So futures and options and stock trading has become very easy with fintech, because with fintech we are able to get real-time feeds of what is the status of a stock price. And then next is banking services. That is where our Google Pay, Paytm, and ICICI Bank, State Bank, Yono, etc. everything comes in. With fintech, core banking became a reality, and now you can transact from anytime, anywhere. Next is automated fraud and anomaly detection. For example, let us say for the last 3 months, I have been making only specific transactions for school fees, rental payments, etc. And all of a sudden, the bank finds that I have made a transaction somewhere in England. So this is not regular to what I have been doing during the last 3 months. Then with fintech automated robo advisor, it can easily identify, okay, Ganesh has done a new transaction, but this is not in sync with what he used to do during the last 3 months. So these kind of examples exist, and with this, fintech is now evolving to a stage where everything can be done online and in real time. Next, what are the key fintech technologies in layman terms? One is artificial intelligence. So artificial intelligence is nothing but rather than a human doing it, we depend on a machine to do it. For example, artificial intelligence is a collective term where the machine is able to interpret the data. For example, let us say someone asks me what is 1 plus 2 plus 3. I say 6. The machine is also able to do the same without me telling the machine that it is 6. So we feed in the data, the machine is able to understand the data, that is interpret the data. Next, it makes a conclusion that, okay, 1 plus 2 plus 3 is 6. It is able to make the conclusion. And then now next, it predicts solutions. For example, now next, when I say 3 plus 3, the machine is still able to say 6. So those kind of understanding the machine is able to do, that is what we call artificial intelligence. That is, it mimics our human brain. Second is big data. What will happen if millions of people using the data at the same time? Then it will create millions of logs, millions of records. The size of those records will be in hundreds of GBs. So those are called big data, and the software that processes hundreds of GB is called big data. And third is robotic process automation. It is simply like automating something which we need to do at regular intervals. For example, when you switch on your microwave or your induction cooker, it shows you a time of 30 seconds or 1 minute or 2 minutes. That is an example of robotic process automation where at a limited set interval, it triggers an action. Four, blockchain. So blockchain is nothing but distributed database. For example, let us say we are 10 people sitting here. Each of us have a note and pen. Let us say when one of us makes an entry into the note, it gets replicated and a copy of it is present in each of our note. That is called blockchain. That is, whatever we do gets copied and is available as a copy in multiple other database. That's a blockchain. So I'm just giving an example. This is a bit complicated for anyone new to understand. So I'm just sharing this. So you can take a look at it once you are free, and you can Google for it more, and that will help you better. Now, for those of you who have stayed till the last, fintech career opportunities, what is it helping? You can become a fintech product manager once you start learning all about blockchain and artificial intelligence. Next, you can become a cybercrime and financial intelligence expert. And third, Python and stock market analyst. All these will clearly help you carve a path in fintech, and these are high paying jobs and highly in demand. So that's it from me. So any questions, I'll be ready to take. Any questions?
Sir, students will ask us question. Just hold on, sir. Just
Very good afternoon, sir. It's a nice speech. How far this artificial intelligence will connect about the banking accounts and all these things? Could you explain such more on for students' point of view?
Yeah, so when you look at artificial intelligence, it can directly make interpretations by training the system. For example, when we get a trainee, I'm just speaking in a human part, okay? Let us say a new trainee joins an organization, we train him with all the fundamental knowledge and principles that is required. So the same way we train the system and make it understand what are the transactions it needs to check, and basis which it will start understanding the customer behavior, and then it gives the output or makes decisions based on it and initiates an action.
About the cyber crime attacks, is there any purposeful software is or any decision making is made by the software in order to protect this kind of cyber attacks on our accounts?
Yeah, so what happens is for cybercrime and multiple related action, first they take the historical data of what are the cybercrime that has happened before, and then basis which they start developing an algorithm. So it is all customized software, and there are multiple other organizations that are doing McAfee and Fire, Anticelin, etc. So those people, they have made algorithms and logic where it automatically runs in the background to check whether there is a possible cybercrime or attack that is happening, and basis which it automatically takes a decision and stops it. The ability to understand and train a system, like for example, let us say if you take a fintech product manager, he will need to understand how this works and get the developers to create a customized software. So one is getting out of the box, like there are a lot of companies which already offer it, or second, you join a company and then you understand and you develop a system by yourself. That way also you can stop cybercrime and create cybercrime related anti force softwares.
Okay,
Sir,
now
I
Saket,
have a question about how far this is difference between SAP finance module. There are students, graduates who used to study the SAP ERP Enterprise Resource Finance module. And what is the difference between studying that course and this fintech regarding the job opportunities you said?
Okay, so that's a very good question. So what happens is when you study all about finance, you will gather the knowledge of what has to be done. Whereas when you take the fintech, it is development or creation or using a software basis you are learning. For example, let us say you have learned about assets and liabilities, then you will instruct the software to handle how the assets and liabilities will have to be calculated or what can come into suspense accounts. That I'm just giving you an example. One is getting the knowledge, second is using the knowledge to utilize the software. For example, if you give the normal fintech software to someone who doesn't know finance, he will not be able to use it, but rather a person who knows about finance will start making good use of the software that is available for fintech.
Thank you, sir. Is this software will help on the stock analysis? Can it predict about the markets? Could you please explain on
Yes.
this?
So, yeah, what happens is in stock market, when you see there are multiple indicators. One is MACD, moving average, convergence, divergence. Second is there are multiple RSI indicator where whether a stock is oversold or undersold, etc. Using fintech, rather than doing it manually, the system will automatically check and predict. For example, if I have to sit and calculate the financial trend of a company for the last 15 years, it is not going to happen. But whereas with fintech, we just need to feed the data inside and it will give the rules and the conditions, and it will automatically calculate and give the prediction.
Thank you, sir. As like as Google Pay and Paytm, this fintech is also a software or works like an intermediary for all the banks to get transferring the funds and all these things.
Yeah, so what happens is any software that is used for advancing or helping do financial transaction is fintech. For example, let us say when you take a ledger, the book, okay, if I have to look at it in a fintech term, that book by itself is a fintech software. For example, I'm just telling you on olden days. So any software or any method that helps in automating or innovating on financial transactions is fintech. So we are just using technology to improve the way we do finance. Simple. Rather than writing it on a notebook, we are using a software to feed in the data and get the output. So that is where we call it as fintech.
Thank you, sir. And comparing to SAP, we find that the n number of accounts can be handled, and huge number of customers' accounts can be handled and delivered, and it can be multi-user. The reports can be generated on various styles like PDF or Excel or Word format, whatever the styles they can prepare the reports. Is there any advantages on using this software?
Each and every software has its pros and cons, advantages and disadvantages. So the moment you use a software for financial requirement, it becomes fintech. Simple. Any software that you use for financial transaction, that's a fintech. So the advantages will depend on the ability of the software to do perform certain activities. For example, let us say when you take Microsoft Excel, it can only handle up to 1 million records, whereas SAP or multiple other big data driven like SAP HANA and multiple other big data driven technologies can handle billions of records at a particular interval. For example, some software can handle it within a minute, some software will take for 5 minutes or 10 minutes. So depending on your usage and depending on your requirement, you need to get the software. Each and every software can be customized and provided basis our requirement.
Sir, regarding this software payments like Google Pay, some months earlier, the Reserve Bank has announced in newspapers that is there any fraudsters regarding payment transaction? Is there any problem? Is there that the Reserve Bank is not in charge for Google Pay? Something the announcement has come. So in that sense, how far it is safety? The software is developed well, but how it is safety when some news is when the people are able to see the news and the confidentiality of this software, how they can able to manage it, sir?
So what happens is when you take a software, it follows something called encryption, okay? And it depends on the encryption that is used by the organization. For example, when you take Google Pay, they will also use their own methods of encryption. So you can encrypt the data. Encrypt is nothing but, for example, let us say my name is Ganesh. It will get changed to like 256 characters and be kept. Or it could be changed to 128 characters like A131C1. You just can't find it. So the economic decisions taken by Reserve Bank of India, which we will not be able to comment, but when it comes to financial data, each and every organization will encrypt and keep the data in the database. So even their own employees will not be able to check. So let me give you a small example on Facebook. Facebook follows a method called one-way hash. One-way hash means once I put my mobile number in Facebook, like enter my mobile number in Facebook, it changes my number into a 256 character or a 128 character basis their hashing. Hashing is called the encryption, and stores it. So unless someone has the access to converting my encrypted data back to my number, no one will be able to see. So in terms of data security, each and every organization will encrypt and keep it. In terms of fraud, that is initiated by humans. So for example, fraud in the sense, I can send you a QR code and tell you, please transfer 500 rupees. When you scan the QR code, instead of 500 rupees, it will be 5,000 rupees. In the pressure that I have given you, you might not have seen that it is 5,000 and you will make the payment. These, the companies cannot be responsible. So those kind of fraudulent activities, the Reserve Bank has clearly mentioned they may not be responsible, but on a what to say way of the fintech works, it can start picking up the trends on how people were cheated, how many complaints have come in, and basis which they can now next automate and find that okay, these are the way frauds are happening in Google Pay, that will need to be stopped.
Thank you, sir. From the student's point of view, What is the cost required for studying these courses, or what are the basic eligibilities for studying these courses, etc.?
Cost required is zero. If you have interest, go to YouTube, go to Google, learn about various financial technologies. Two, just ensure you are good in cost and financial accounting, which they would have taught you at college, or you can learn by yourself. Three, if you can, learn, there is no requirement of, education. But what happens is at least finish your graduation so that you become employable with top tier companies. You can go to Udemy, you can go to Coursera, you can go to multiple YouTube channels which is giving these free. You can learn, you can do your research on Google and learn it by yourself. But if you are insisting on getting a certificate or something of value, then you can pay in Coursera or Udemy and get the Fintech analyst certificate. But if you honestly ask me, if you have the will, just search in Google, use YouTube. There are thousands of channels available, which is teaching you various technologies and how you can learn about artificial intelligence, machine learning, blockchain technologies, big data, Python. Once you learn that, it is going to help you. For example, let me take me as an example. I started as a call center trainee in Mobilink, but all the telecom and all the fintech and all big data and multiple implementations, even for Geo, which we have implemented, I learned it only from the internet. So I would recommend going through a lot of YouTube channels and learning by yourself. And if you really need a certificate which confirms that you have learned it, you can get it done through Udemy or Coursera, where you will maximum spend $100 or $200. That is somewhere around 7,000 to 15,000 rupees.
So, question from student point of view, will this software provide good job opportunity only for the people who have good knowledge about coding, or will it be helpful for people who don't even know the knowledge about, even have knowledge about coding?
Excellent question. So this is what has to come in. So there are two ways of doing fintech. One is you are very good in financial knowledge, not coding, financial knowledge. And you tell the developer, boss, you develop the software for me. This is what I want. And second is people who have knowledge in coding, they listen to the people who have knowledge about finance and start working. It works both ways. And if you can do both, it's well and good. So first part, you don't need coding knowledge. Okay, so will this software provide job opportunities only for people who have good knowledge about coding? No. Or will it be helpful for people who don't even have knowledge about coding? Yes. So what happens? You have financial knowledge. You will tell the developers to develop a software for you or develop a particular feature for you. So coding knowledge is not required. Two, if you have coding knowledge, then you listen to people and develop and work as a fintech developer. Hope it's clear.
Yes, sir. Thank you. You find that Finacle is a software used by all the leading private sector banks, like HDFC, IDBI, post offices are using this Finacle software, which has provided a number of reports. Like that, this fintech is any software which can be used in banks or etc.
No, even Finacle comes under fintech only. So, for example, any software we use for doing a financial transaction is fintech. Simple. We are using technology to do financial transactions. Simple. So, Finacle also comes under fintech. Fintech is not a separate software or something. Anything that we do with software to do a financial transaction is fintech.
And how much it is user friendly, sir? If you find that students are learning Tally within a time of 45 days, right? If you post one entry in Tally, it will take you to the journals, ledger, trial balance, and all these things. How customize this software which help you to post one entry can take it to all the reports? Is it possible in the software?
Okay, so let me rephrase my thing. So this is not in Tally. You are speaking about a end user who is inputting data and then trying to get various output or various ledgers and balances. But whereas for fintech, you go back and create the user interface. For example, you want to make changes to the software that you can do with Fintech. So it is user friendly and you can customize it the way you want.
So cost of customization, sir.
Yeah, so that depends on the type of developer that you are getting. For example, there are a lot of startup companies who are now creating customized software. One is you can buy it out of the box, in the sense the startup company will create a software and give it to you, and if you want some customization, it will start they might start charging you from like 10,000 $15,000, which is roughly 10 lakh rupees or 15 lakh rupees, or it can even be 50,000 rupees depending on the customization that you require.
That's great, sir. Is there any more input for the students on this? Could you able to display any reports which can be generated on FinTech, or some slides? Anything do you have in FinTech?
Yeah, so let me just show you something called Markets Mojo, okay, wherein they were able to use fintech and latest artificial intelligence technologies to predict whether a stock will increase or decrease. So let me just do it for you. Just give me a minute. Let me just take that screen.
Sir, unmute yourself, sir. Sir, sorry for interruption. Please unmute yourself, sir.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Now we are just seeing a company called ITC here in a software called Markets Mojo. This is a general software. Anyone can go to Markets Mojo and see this. I am just going to the technical trend. Okay. Here, when you see from 15th March 18 to 9th March 21, we will not be able to manually do all the calculations and find out whether a stock is bullish. Bullish means the stock value will go up. Bearish means the stock value will go down. Currently, it shows the stock is bullish, which is an automated artificial intelligence based analysis. Now it shows bullish and the stock has increased by 0.25. Just a simple example. And this is going to be a bit complicated for you to understand at the first time. But what I recommend is go to the site Market Mojo and take a look at the technical trend analysis on how they have done it. That will give you a better view of how this fintech works. I'm using this stock market analysis because everyone wants to make money on stocks. So this will be a good starting point.
Sir, could you go ahead and give some predictions on this, sir? You've shown that ITC website, ITC share markets. Could you at least predict some more things on that?
The prediction is only for our learning stuff. So I'm not a SEBI registered investor. So I'm making it clear. Just a small example. Let me show you which are the stocks that will do well in the next 1 or 2 months. But guys, I'm telling you, do not buy the stocks just because I have shown you. Do your own analysis. Just a small example. Wait, let me just share. So let me go to the watch list. So you have these stocks that you see with 3 green dots. Okay. So let me go into the very attractive valuation that we see. Ambuja Cements, Ipca Labs, Motilal Oswal, Axo Nobel, it is already, has started giving good returns. RBL Bank, SAS, Hindustan Aeronautics, there are multiple other, and Wipro. These are just small prediction that says in the next 1 or 2 months, these stocks will go up, and all these are done through fintech. And let me rephrase it again. This is available in the internet. You can go to Markets Mojo and do it by yourself. I'm just giving an example of how we can use artificial intelligence to predict which are the stocks that will go out well.
Yes, thanks. That's really great. And we already know that hereafter the world is moving on this artificial intelligence. Since on those days, people are used to take their checkbooks and wallets to go to the bank to withdraw the money or deposit money into the account. But nowadays, everything has been done through online. As these kind of softwares are more useful and yet to come, because there are many number of people who are afraid of still doing their online transactions. But these kind of softwares is yet to be a good boom for everyone, and many number of students and the upcoming young professionals should also use kind of technologies, and you people will also assist us on this flow. Let me welcome Dr. R.K. Gopinath sir, Assistant Professor, Department of Corporate Secretaryship, Evening College, to provide the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Balaji sir. I would like to express our deep gratitude to our DG Vaishnav College Secretary, Sri Ashok Kumar Mundra sir, our beloved principal, Captain Dr. S. Santosh Babu sir. I also thank our head of the department, Department of Corporate Secretaryship, Day College, Dr. Prabha Rajagopal ma'am, for giving her guidance to conduct this webinar. And I thank our HO, head of the department, Department of Corporate Secretaryship, Shift 2, Dr. K. Kalpana Devi for her motivation and support in conducting this webinar. And I'd like to thank our distinguished resource person, Mr. Ganesh Swaminathan, Head CVM Southeast Africa MTN Group, for making an excellent presentation and made this seminar very meaning and interesting, and explained about the fintech and modern types of payment mode, and also explained about the different financial transactions, and politely explained answers for all the questions. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Also, thank all the stakeholders, our staff members, students, has made this webinar a successful event. Thank you once again. Thank you all. Thank you.
Students' feedback link has been posted in the chat box. Kindly fill it up for receiving e-certificate. Thank you.